When I look back on my life and realize how much time I wasted on nothing, on trivial distractions, mistakes, laziness, and not truly living, how often I betrayed my own heart and soul, my chest tightens. Life is a gift. Life is joy. Each moment can be an eternity of happiness. Fyodor Dostoevsky, have you ever wondered why certain words hit you right in the soul, as if they were spoken just for you, in a moment you didn't even know you needed them? Maybe it's because they reflect a truth too raw to ignore, a truth that shakes you out of numbness. In this video, we're diving deep into 9 powerful lessons from Dostoevsky, not as literary curiosities, but as soul-forging tools for the modern seeker. If you're tired of shallow content and want to reclaim your depth, you're exactly where you need to be. Dostoevsky wasn't just a novelist, he was a soul cartographer. His words walk the edge between beauty and suffering, between chaos and revelation. This isn't for those looking for comfort, it's for those brave enough to confront their shadows and find meaning in them. These lessons are not rules, they are keys, and if you're ready, they might just unlock a part of yourself you've forgotten. Let's begin. The best definition of man is a creature who walks on 2 legs and is ungrateful. In a world obsessed with more success, more status, more stimulation, gratitude is often the first thing we lose. And Dostoevsky knew this deeply. What seems like a harsh jab at humanity is, in truth, a mirror. One that shows us how often we trample over the blessings we already hold. Think about it. When was the last time you truly appreciated the stability of your health, the quiet loyalty of a friend, or just a calm morning without chaos? This isn't spiritual fluff. It's the first frontier of self-awareness. Because until you stop living like life owes you something, you won't see what it's already given you. In a culture addicted to hustle and highlight reels, Dostoevsky challenges us to pause, to breathe, to look around with eyes of reverence, because maybe what we call progress is just well-disguised ingratitude. And so the first step is simple, but not easy. Start by recognizing what's already sacred in your life. The best definition of man is a creature who walks on 2 legs and is ungrateful. In a world obsessed with more success, more status, more stimulation, gratitude is often the first thing we lose. And Dostoevsky knew this deeply. What seems like a harsh jab at humanity is, in truth, a mirror. One that shows us how often we trample over the blessings we already hold. Think about it. When was the last time you truly appreciated the stability of your health, the quiet loyalty of a friend, or just a calm morning without chaos? This isn't spiritual fluff. It's the first frontier of self-awareness. Because until you stop living like life owes you something, you won't see what it's already given you. In a culture addicted to hustle and highlight reels, Dostoevsky challenges us to pause, to breathe, to look around with eyes of reverence. Because maybe what we call progress is just well-disguised ingratitude. And so the first step is simple, but not easy. Start by recognizing what's already sacred in your life. It takes more than intelligence to act intelligently. Intelligence by itself is overrated. We celebrate it on paper, in titles, in achievements. But Dostoevsky knew that intellect without inner strength is just an unused weapon. How many brilliant minds do we see trapped by their own hesitation, paralyzed by doubt, or sabotaged by fear? Knowledge doesn't move mountains, courage does. True wisdom is born when your thoughts align with your will. When clarity meets action, it's not enough to know what's right. You need the fire to pursue it. That's why the wisest among us often aren't the loudest or the most decorated. They are the ones who quietly choose integrity when no one's watching, who act not for applause, but from alignment. To act intelligently means rising above distractions, letting go of the need to be liked, and standing by decisions that mirror your highest values. It means having the discipline to pause, the strength to say no, and the clarity to say yes, only when your soul agrees. In this way, intelligence becomes more than brain power. It becomes a weapon of awakening, a tool for building a life that's both deeply aware and powerfully lived. I stopped worrying about everything, and all the problems disappeared. This isn't denial, it's liberation. Dostoevsky wasn't saying life becomes easy when you stop worrying. He was pointing to a deeper truth. Worry is a prison we build with our own hands, and when you stop feeding it, it crumbles. Most of what we obsess over never even happens. The rest, we survive anyway. Freedom begins when we realize that control is an illusion, that peace doesn't come from fixing the outside, but from untangling the inside. The mind, when left unchecked, turns into a factory of fear. But when you stop feeding the machine, silence returns, and in that silence, clarity is born. This kind of clarity allows you to act, not out of panic, but from presence. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop running and start choosing. It's not indifference, it's power. The kind that can only come from someone who's no longer owned by their anxiety. And that's when you realize the true antidote to chaos isn't control, it's surrender. Surrender not as weakness, but as a bold step into what really matters. If you want to conquer the whole world, conquer yourself first. This isn't motivational fluff, it's a hard truth. The real war isn't out there, it's inside, against your doubt, your ego, your fear of not being enough. Dostoevsky cuts through the illusion. Until you face yourself, every external battle is just a distraction. The world reflects back what you haven't yet claimed within. Conquering yourself doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means becoming honest. Owning your flaws without shame, facing your fears without excuses, and choosing growth, even when it hurts. This is the work most people avoid because it's quiet. There's no applause for inner healing, but it's the only path that leads to real strength. Every time you say no to an old pattern, every time you choose stillness over reaction, you're reclaiming power. Not over others, but over the chaos inside. And when that inner storm calms, you become unshakable. Not because life stopped being hard, but because you stopped running from it. This is what makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Not aggressive, but anchored, grounded, and free. Taking a new step, saying a new word, is what people fear most. We love the idea of change, but fear the moment it knocks. Dostoevsky knew this. What paralyzes us isn't failure itself. It's the first step into the unknown. That trembling, silence before a bold decision. That edge where the old self dies and something unshaped begins. That's where most turn back. And that's exactly where you must begin. The truth? Most people would rather stay miserable than risk transformation. Because the unknown doesn't come with guarantees, it comes with mirrors. It forces you to meet yourself without the masks. But that's the only way to grow. Evolution isn't safe, it's sacred. And it begins the moment you step into your own fear. You don't need a map. You need momentum. You don't need all the answers. You need one honest step forward, into the discomfort, into the voice that says, do it anyway, because everything you seek, your clarity, your freedom, your strength, is waiting on the other side of hesitation. And if you feel fear, right now, good. That means you're close. Don't back down. Lean in. Let that fear be the fire that forges the next version of you. A man who lies to himself and believes his own lies loses the ability to recognize the truth. This one stings, because it's not about lying to others, it's about the lies we whisper to ourselves just to stay comfortable. I'm fine. I don't need to change. This is just how life is. But deep down, you know better, and that quiet knowing, that discomfort, is your soul begging you to wake up. Dostoevsky exposes a brutal reality. The most dangerous lies are the ones we live with. They shape our choices, our beliefs, our very identity. And once you believe, your own illusion, truth becomes unrecognizable. You stop evolving. You settle. You sleepwalk through a life that was meant to be awake. This isn't about guilt. It's about reclaiming clarity. Because the moment you name the lie, you break its grip. You start seeing again. You stop reacting and start reflecting. And with every layer of honesty, you remember who you were before the fear, before the compromise, before you became a version of yourself that fit in, but didn't feel whole. Facing the truth is rarely pretty, but it's always powerful. Because it returns you to yourself, and from that place, everything becomes possible again. Man only likes to count his troubles. He doesn't calculate his happiness. It's true, isn't it? We collect complaints like trophies. We replay our setbacks, stack our disappointments, and wear our stress like a badge. But Dostoyevsky calls us out hard. He reminds us that what we focus on, we become. And if you're always measuring what's missing, you'll never see what's already blooming inside your life. The mind has a bias for pain. It fixates on danger to protect us. But in doing so, it often forgets to notice the light. That soft morning sun. That friend who stayed. That silent moment of peace between the noise. None of it goes viral, but all of it builds a life worth living. This isn't toxic positivity. It's emotional discipline. A choice to not let your wounds become your worldview. To train your perception to hold both, the weight of your pain and the beauty of your blessings. Because gratitude isn't denial. It's defiance. It's saying, yes, life is hard, but it's also sacred. So pause right now and ask yourself, what am I overlooking that's already healing me? Nothing helps a man reform so much as looking back with regret. Most people avoid regret like the plague, but Dostoyevsky saw it differently. He knew that regret, when embraced consciously, isn't weakness, it's a compass, a force that cuts through the noise and tells you, you were meant for more. Because only someone who still cares, still hurts over their past, is truly ready to change. Regret, real regret, isn't about shame, it's about awakening. It's the moment you look at your choices, not with judgment, but with clarity and courage. You don't pretend it didn't happen, you own it. You stare into the wreckage, not to punish yourself, but to pull out the blueprint for who you're becoming. And that changes everything. Because now, your past isn't your prison, it's your teacher. The mistakes you once hated become sacred reminders. The missteps, lessons. The wounds, initiations. And in that raw honesty, you find your reform, not in denial, but in full presence. Your life shifts when you stop running from what was and begin sculpting what will be, with intention, with truth, and with a renewed fire to live deliberately. Dostoevsky wasn't just a novelist. He was a soul architect. His words didn't aim to comfort. They aimed to unmask, to strip you bare, to remind you of what you've always known but were too afraid to face. If these 9 lessons stirred something inside you, it wasn't by chance. It was a call, a whisper from the part of you that's been waiting patiently for you to stop scrolling, stop numbing, and start remembering who you are. Because the truth is this, you are not here to live a scripted life. You are not here to be agreeable, digestible, or forgettable. You are here to go deep, to feel fully, to burn with clarity in a world addicted to confusion. And clarity is not comfortable, it is revolutionary. It's the fire that destroys the illusions you've outgrown. This channel isn't made for passive minds. It's a forge, a space for lucid seekers, for quiet rebels, for those who would rather be pierced by truth than sedated by comfort. If even one of Dostoevsky's lessons cracked something open inside you, don't let that fire die. Let it ruin your comfort. Let it awaken your edge. Let it pull you into a life lived with eyes open and heart engaged. Leave a comment. Let the world know what woke you up. Was it the mirror of self-deception, the defiant act of gratitude, or the war within that you've been avoiding? Hit like if this message resonated. Subscribe if you're ready to reclaim your mind, your spirit, and your soul's direction. We're building more than an audience here. We're building an underground of consciousness, of thinkers who choose depth over distraction. And above all, don't just think philosophy. Live it, in your silence, in your courage, in the way you love, let go, and rise again. Because the greatest rebellion isn't to speak loudly, it's to be fully awake in a world that wants you asleep.